Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the finale of this series. Animated Horror Flicks put out 3 episodes to this pizza delivery horror story, and the first 2 were great. If you haven't watched them yet, I highly recommend checking them out. There'll be links in the description for them. This one is part 3, and we're going to react to it now. Make sure to subscribe to Animated Horror Flicks' channel if you like horror stories like this, and to me if you like reaction videos. And let's get into this animation. Here we go. So last time he had barely escaped some crazy men after he apparently had wrecked his car coming from a pizza delivery. Remember this house? The shadowy
As
figure
I
was?
approached the house,
He's going back to the
I was
farmhouse
quite
now.
surprised to see that some of the lights were still on. But then again, he most likely left in a hurry and was probably expecting to be back by now.
Right.
I figured I had at least a good 15 minutes to snoop around the house and get to a phone before he showed up.
Right.
Fortunately, it had stopped raining, so I chose to scope out the exterior of the house a
Definitely
little
get
longer
the
to
phone
find the
first,
best point
man.
of entry.
Sure.
I decided
Through
to
the
sneak
window?
around the back of the house since both the garage and the front door were probably locked, and I wanted to see if perhaps there was a more discreet way of getting inside. It was then when I began to wonder why the farm was so deserted. There wasn't a trace of any animals or livestock whatsoever, which was kind of unusual compared to the other farms in the area.
They're not farming. They're
As
murderers.
I arrived at the back of the house, I observed a large heavy door that
Ooh, a
probably led down
basement.
to the basement. It was definitely the ideal place to hide someone, but judging by the strength of the door and the large padlock securing it, I knew I needed to find another way in.
Right.
Which is
Well,
when I
what's in
noted a
there?
small door just to my right. Even if it were locked, it still didn't seem like the kind of door that would be difficult to break down or unlock from the other side if I found something to break the glass with.
Alright.
As I walked towards the door, I conveniently noticed a flashlight inside a toolbox.
Nice.
My priority at that instant was to find a phone and call the police.
Yes.
I knew there had to be a landline somewhere inside the house because it was used to call the pizzeria, and it wasn't a cell phone number.
True. I was about to say, how would he know that? But
I
they
cautiously
did call
shined the
pizza.
flashlight to the glass section of the door, which slowly revealed an old kitchen that
It
looked
looks
like it hadn't been
abandoned.
cleaned in months, maybe
Right.
longer. I could see another door at the end of the kitchen, which I assume led to the porch or living room.
So did these people just take over
With
this
one gentle
farmhouse?
push, I realized that the door was unlocked and had
What
been
about
left
the
ajar,
owners?
causing
Maybe they're
it
in
to
the
sway
basement.
open.
Whoa.
As
The
I
door was
began to
open.
contemplate the moral dilemma of breaking into a stranger's house, it was almost too easy at that point.
I mean, they
And in the
tried
heat of the
to...
moment,
they tried
all
to
I could
attack
think
you,
of was
bud.
calling the police and checking the house for anyone that might be trapped inside.
Get to the phone first.
I slowly entered the kitchen, trying to make as little noise as possible, which wasn't easy considering how old and creaky the floors were.
Right.
The kitchen was shrouded in dust, and a foul smell of garbage and rotten meat filled the air. I tried hard not to breathe it in, and as soon as I realized that there was no phone there, I quickly proceeded towards the door at the other end of the
Sure.
kitchen. Which is when
The
I
phone.
heard a phone ringing. I was relieved but also confused when I realized that the corridor had been completely sealed off with thick wooden panels and that the sound was coming from behind a small door to my left.
Oh, wow.
The ringing stopped almost as if someone had answered it, but it didn't seem likely considering how dark it was and I couldn't hear anyone talking on the phone.
Strange.
I peeped through the small window in the door but couldn't see that much. As the
What the
eerie
heck is
silence
going on with this
persisted,
house, bro?
I opened the door and was immediately presented with a narrow flight of stairs descending into the basement.
Alright.
Admittedly, it seemed like an unusual place to keep a phone, and I was still puzzled as to why the corridor had been sealed off. But time
Right.
was running out, and I only needed a minute or two to call the police.
You gotta do it, buddy. You
I
gotta do
flipped
it.
the light switch, but nothing happened. Had it not been for the foul stench coming from the kitchen, I might have thought twice about descending a narrow stairway into a dark basement.
And
But I was already
not
beginning
having an
to feel a
escape
little
route.
more at ease as the rancid odor was quickly negated by a strong smell of fresh paint and construction materials.
Huh.
It looked like the basement had recently been converted into some kind of giant meat locker.
Oh,
There were
no.
boxes everywhere, and I wasn't all that curious to know what was inside them.
Oh, no, 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 no,
I was
no,
expecting the
But it's
basement
not
to be a
stinking
mess,
down
so you
here.
can imagine my surprise when I observed how organized and clean it was,
no. Right.
which was a stark contrast to the floor above and most likely to the rest of the house.
Oh,
I
damn.
was suddenly startled by the sound of the door behind me slamming shut as I felt a cold rush of air sweep through the room.
Not
I quickly
good.
deduced that it was the draft that had caused it and continued to search the basement. I carefully shined the flashlight across the basement interior until I finally spotted a landline phone mounted to the wall. I rushed over to the phone and quickly dialed 911. I felt a sudden rush of relief as I heard a female voice on the other end of the line. I explained everything that had happened on the bridge and where I was. She told me that the cops were on their way and that I should try to find somewhere safe to hide until they arrived. Sound advice, but it still felt strange looking for some place to hide in somebody else's house. That's when I heard the sound of a truck pulling up outside.
Oh no.
It sounded
I knew it was going to
the
happen.
same truck from the bridge, as much as I tried to deny it. So I turned off the flashlight and quickly hid between a bunch of boxes, patiently waiting to see if someone would appear behind the door at the top of the stairs. Then to my horror, a shadow appeared through the window in the door.
Of course.
The strangest part was the fact that even after a minute or so, he was still just standing there, completely motionless as I tried to anticipate what he might do next.
Does he know somebody's there?
It was at that moment of intense silence and uncertainty that I observed a large reinforced door on the opposite wall.
Is that a
It
cooler?
didn't seem like the type of door that requires a key, but it definitely looked like it was meant to keep something or someone from getting out.
It looks like a cooler.
As I contemplated what horrifying secrets could be waiting behind that door, I heard the sound of another door slowly creak open.
Oh no, you
followed
gotta
by
go,
heavy
bro.
footsteps descending the stairs.
You gotta go.
I kept my back to the wall, avoiding any sudden movements as the footsteps got closer and louder, eventually reaching the concrete floor. As I acknowledged the large shadow casting on the wall next to me, I was convinced that he would find me.
Right.
And my only hope was that the police would show up in the nick of time.
Or just hit him with the flashlight.
Suddenly, I let out a gasp of relief as I heard the footsteps moving away, heading back up the stairs.
So he was just
But
looking
just when I thought
around?
the worst was over,
Bruh. No!
the phone rang.
No!
I had but a split second to react, knowing that if I stayed where I was, he would find me for
He
sure.
would see you. You gotta hit him with a flashlight, buddy. Oh no, he's walking. He went for the door. Wow. I wonder if it's 911. Please don't have call back.
I managed to quickly unlock and open the large door, carefully timing it with the sound of the phone ringing not to give my presence away.
Right.
As the door closed, however, everything went silent, suggesting that the room was completely soundproof,
Yeah.
lit only by the light from the small window in the door.
Man.
The fact that I couldn't hear anything made it even worse.
Can you
knowing that
imagine?
the door could swing open at any moment.
Hiding from
Trying
a
hard
murderer.
not to succumb to the isolation or the likelihood that I was trapped, I noticed something strangely
Well, the police
familiar.
are on the way already,
A
thankfully.
box at my feet.
Pizza.
It was the same box from the pizza I had delivered to the house that very night.
Yeah.
I got a strong sense that I wasn't alone in that room, so I turned on the flashlight. As my eyes became accustomed to the light,
Other people.
I could see two girls curled up in the opposite corner
Oh my
staring back at
god.
me. It looked like they had been there for some time, and I could tell that they were extremely weak and frightened.
Right.
Suddenly they both looked to the door in fear as it began to swing open.
Uh-oh.
The only thing that went through my mind at that point was that this was the end for
Bruh.
all of us,
Flashlight, baby.
but that maybe I could surprise him somehow
Bust.
since he probably wasn't expecting me to be there. But just as I was about to make my move, I noticed the expressions on the girls' faces changed suddenly to
Police.
something I wasn't expecting. I was initially confused, but then ultimately relieved to see a police officer
Oh
standing
my
at the door.
god, dude. So, they were doing some human trafficking or something. What a relief, huh? What a relief. So, did they catch the criminals? Yep, sure did. Happy ending. Uh-huh. Whoops. Caught you slipping, bruh. Caught you slipping. This is a good little series, y'all. Very, very cool. And and the girls are alright. He did a good thing. Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. And you know, you gotta take some guts to go back to the house that you know your captors are in order to potentially get out of harm's way by calling the police. And then thinking and taking the initiative that you might have not been the only victim that these people have tried that. My question is, was the house originally theirs? And were they just doing this for a long time? Who knows, you know what I mean? But it was really good. Guys, Animated Horror Flicks, make sure to subscribe to him, as well as a couple other reaction videos that I've done for him. Thanks so much for watching. As always, this is Zueljin signing off. We'll see you next time.